There are people who love softly yet think loudly. Their hearts speak in whispers, but their minds never sleep. They are the ones who replay conversations long after they end, who feel the shift in someone's tone like a sudden change in weather, who notice pauses, silences, the space between words, not because they are suspicious, but because their hearts once learned that warm things can turn cold without warning. To them, love is never just love. It is a puzzle. A yearning wrapped in questions, a hope held together by careful observation. They love deeply, yet trust slowly, and in their quietness there is an ache that does not scream, but hums beneath the surface, a gentle worry, a constant checking, as if love could slip away simply by looking elsewhere for a moment. They do not cling with hands, they cling with thoughts, not out of weakness, but out of memory of moments when affection felt safe, until it didn't, when promises felt solid, until they dissolved like smoke, when someone said "I care" and meant it in that moment, but not in the moments that followed. So now, they search for signs not yet written, they listen for endings in beginnings, they brace for storms in clear skies. They are not dramatic. In fact, they rarely speak these fears aloud. Their emotional world is internal, private, a quiet theater where they sit alone watching every scene twice just to be sure. And yet, beneath the thoughts, beneath the vigilance, there lives a longing so pure it almost hurts to name it, the desire to feel safe in love without needing to think of safety at all. To rest, not evaluate. To exhale, not anticipate. To trust the calm without fearing the next wave. They overthink not because they expect pain, but because they remember it. Because heartbreak taught them vigilance. Because inconsistency taught them readiness. Because losing something once makes the heart determined not to lose it again, even if the price is peace, and so they wait for replies that haven't come. Yet, they rehearse conversations that may never happen. They try to predict emotions like reading the sky for rain. When love feels soft, they question its durability. When love feels intense, they fear it will burn out. When love feels calm, they wonder why it is so quiet. Peace to them can feel suspicious, like the calm before something shatters, like still water that might hide a sudden drop. They crave serenity and fear it at the same time. Because somewhere inside, a quiet voice whispers, "Love leaves when you stop paying attention," and so they do not stop paying attention, not because they are difficult, not because they doubt others, but because somewhere in their history, they learned to survive with vigilance. To love is beautiful to them, but it is also work, tender, exhausting, hopeful work. Yet even as they overthink, there is a softness in them that refuses to die, a brave, stubborn hope that one day love will feel like breathing, not like holding their breath. One day, they imagine, the heart will rest, the mind will loosen its grip. Peace will not feel like absence, it will feel like arrival, and until that day comes, they navigate love carefully, quietly, tenderly. Not because they do not believe in love, but because they believe in it so much they cannot bear to lose it again. And that belief, fragile, persistent, aching, is the truest sign of how deeply they care. Before the overthinking, before the quiet panic disguised as care, there was a child who watched love like weather, studying moods the way others study clocks, learning that warmth could fade and comfort could tremble without warning. They learned early that love was not guaranteed, that closeness came with a cost, that attention could vanish like a door closing in another room. Some children grew up in houses filled with noise, voices raised not in celebration, but in frustration, disappointment, disconnection. Others lived in quieter homes, not loud in anger, but loud in absence. The kind of silence where affection was scarce, where praise arrived like a rare season, where touch felt foreign, and emotion lived behind shut doors. Even the gentlest childhood can birth overthinking, not through cruelty but inconsistency. A parent who loved deeply, but unpredictably, warm today, distracted tomorrow, present in body, drifting in spirit, and the child, sensitive by nature, began to watch for shifts. A sigh, a pause, a quiet distance that felt colder than winter. They became attuned, not to joy, but to change, because change meant risk. Change meant loss, not change meant their heart had to prepare for whatever came next. Some learned to become helpers, carrying emotional weight too heavy for their age, not comforting adults who were meant to comfort them. Learning that love meant responsibility, not rest. Others learned to make themselves small, believing that being too visible invited disappointment. They became gentle shadows, present but never demanding, loving but always careful. And some learned to shine, to achieve, impress, earn praise like currency, because approval felt like safety, because being enough was the closest thing to being held. Different childhoods, same imprint. Love must be monitored, connection must be maintained, safety is earned, not assumed. So when these children grew into adults and love finally touched them again, the old instincts returned, not because they wanted to worry, but because their hearts remembered what their minds tried to forget. They search for cues, they seek reassurance, they interpret pauses as danger and affection as both blessing and risk. And when someone says, just relax, they wish they could. They envy those who trust love easily, who enter softly, who do not hold their breath when someone stays, but the mind that once protected a tender heart does not release its duty easily. It still believes it must stand guard. It still remembers the sting of unsteady affection, the CEK, ache of waiting for someone who promised they were there. In childhood, overthinking was survival, a way to sense emotional storms before they arrived, a way to soften the blow of inconsistency. Adults carry that instinct quietly. They do not blame the past. They simply do not know how to forget it. And though they have grown, though they understand the world differently now, a small part of them still sits at the edge of a memory, wondering if love will remain or slip away again. But in that childlike vigilance, there is tenderness, a heart that learned to care deeply, even when the world felt unpredictable, a soul that still hopes for steady arms, even after learning to stand alone. These hearts are not broken. They are trained, shaped by environments that taught them to scan for loss before savoring love. And one day, as they continue to understand themselves, they will realize they were never too sensitive. They were simply trying to feel safe in a world that did not always feel safe to them. Their overthinking was once protection. Now, it is a story waiting to transform into peace. The brain has simple instincts. Even when the heart feels complex, it seeks safety. It avoids pain. It learns from experience and remembers with precision what once hurt, even after the conscious mind has moved on. For those who overthink love, this is not madness. It is biology wrapped in memory. Their nervous system holds stories of uncertainty, of being emotionally unseen, of moments when closeness felt conditional or fragile. So the mind, loyal and alert, became a guard. Not a gentle one, but an ever-watchful sentinel standing at the gates of the heart with questions, doubts, and 1,000 silent alarms. Attachment theory gives this pattern a name: anxious vigilance, not obsession, not clinginess, simply a nervous system that learned to survive through awareness. In the body, this looks like tension, a tightening before text replies, a flutter not only from excitement, but from fear of what silence might mean. In the mind, it looks like forecasting, predicting outcomes before they exist, preparing for disappointment. While yearning for closeness, it is not a flaw, it is adaptation. When a brain associates love with unpredictability, it becomes skilled at scanning for emotional danger. Like a finely tuned instrument, it senses tone shifts, pauses, emotional dips, interpreting them as signs, even when they are simply human moments. The amygdala, the brain's alarm bell, remembers emotional pain more vividly than emotional calm. Pain carves deeper grooves. Once burned, nervous systems learn to anticipate the flame, so when someone says, "Why can't you just trust?" the heart quiets and the mind whispers. Trust was once a door that opened to loss. Neuroscience explains this not as fragility, but as the brain choosing survival over surrender. Yet, survival has a cost. Constant alertness taxes the soul. The nervous system grows tired. Moments meant for connection become stages for internal evaluation. Is this safe? Do they care? Will they stay? Did I say too much? Too little? Did their silence mean something? Or nothing at all? This is not drama. It is self-protection through analysis. and behind every anxious thought is a tender wish. Please don't hurt me the way life once did. Even dopamine plays its part. Love floods the mind with reward, warmth, hope, and for those with anxious attachment, that very rush becomes risk. Pleasure and fear intertwine. The higher the emotional peak, the deeper the imagined fall. To them, neutrality can feel like danger. Calm can feel like absence. Stable love, unfamiliar, may seem suspicious, not because they prefer chaos, but because chaos was once the measure by which love proved itself real. Their brain interprets quiet as distance, distance as rejection, and rejection as a threat to emotional survival. But here is what science does not always say plainly. This vigilance is born from love, from wanting connection deeply, from hoping not to repeat what once hurt.